Right, lords, ladies, and sovereigns, let's get right into it. We're covering a ship we've never touched before, somehow. We're gonna talk about the Enterprise. Nope, none of that. This one might actually make some members of the old guard very, very happy. Yes, you guessed it right. No bloody B, C, D, E, F, or G. This is your only chance to hear me say that. Stop commenting. It's not funny after 100 times. It's Fonzie's favorite, the U.S.S Enterprise-A. Did I do good there, YouTube? I hope so. Jack won't let me have any replicator rations if I don't. The Enterprise-A was, of course, the second Federation starship to bear the name Enterprise. Of course, she succeeded the original Federation Starship Enterprise, which had a lasting legacy and easily became one of the most legendary starships within Starfleet, if not the entire galaxy. But what was the legacy of the Enterprise-A, and where did it inevitably end up? The ship was launched in 2286, but then seemed to be decommissioned in 2293, a mere 7 years after her launch. Oh well, at least she didn't blow up. Poor Star Drive. I mean, as Enterprises go these days, 7 years, not too bad. I mean, yes, I am looking at the Enterprise D and the Enterprise F. Gone too soon. Anyway, let's look at a history of the U.S.S Enterprise-A and why her legacy might be more important than any other ship that carries the name Enterprise. Except for the original.
Second star to the right. And straight on till morning.
A big thank you to SkillShare for sponsoring this video. We're all about learning new skills here, maybe video editing, photography, or even animation. SkillShare is the perfect place to start with hundreds of career-focused classes. The new year is a perfect time to reinvent your goals and yourself. And in this day and age, traditional work and jobs are not one size fits all. Learn how to design a career to fit you. For example, as a voice actor, I've recently been using Skillshare and have found the personal projects to build your portfolio and get the gigs you want class very helpful. You can learn how to be your own boss with freelance tips on how to start a new side project and attracting the right clients or even starting your own business. Using Skillshare, I discovered another fantastic class and began learning from the Build a Creative Career full-time or freelance. The first 1,000 people to use our link in the video description below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so go ahead and discover your next creative passion. Welcome to Trek Central, lords, ladies, and sovereigns. I'm your host, Lieutenant Commander Adam. And as always, before we warp into the video, if you want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore, and more, then make sure you hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. But did you know we're also going to be live streaming on Twitch? If you want to catch an in-depth discussion on the Star Trek universe along with gameplay and more, then make sure you tune into twitch.tv/TrekCentral. And as always, please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, because if you're talking about Star Trek, we want to hear about it. Okay, engage. So in the year 2285, the original U.S.S Enterprise was set to be decommissioned, after the damage it suffered during a battle in the Mutara Nebula against Kirk's most persistent enemy, Khan Noonien Singh. This battle was between the USS Reliant, under the command of the Augment Khan, and the U.S.S Enterprise under the command of Admiral James T. Kirk and his Glasses. Spock would die in this battle, sacrificing himself to save the Enterprise from the detonation of the Genesis device, a super weapon that would turn the Mutara Nebula into the Genesis planet. Spock's photon torpedo casing coffin would be shot onto the Genesis planet during his funeral, and the Enterprise would make its way back to Earth's space dock, damaged and in need of repair. However, after discovering that Spock's Katra, his Vulcan soul, was embedded into the body of Dr. McCoy, Kirk and his crew would steal the Enterprise from space dock, sabotage their intercepting ship, the USS Excelsior, and bugger off to Genesis, giggling as they went. However, not only would the Enterprise head to the Genesis planet, but also a Klingon named Krug, who wanted to seize this weapon that had created the Genesis planet, tagged along as well. The Enterprise would be disabled by Krug and his bird of prey, but on offering surrender, Kirk would set the ship to self-destruct while the Klingons were boarding it. Kirk and crew would commandeer the Klingons' bird of prey and watch as the U.S.S Enterprise was destroyed.
My God, Bones.
What have I done?
What you had to do.
After some temporal hijinks involving saving the planet by rescuing some whales, Kirk would be demoted from admiral to captain and given command of a shiny new starship. This ship turned out to be the U.S.S Enterprise-A, similarly a Constitution II class like the original Enterprise was before it. The shakedown cruise for the Enterprise-A did not go well. It seems rushedly creating a starship to thank a crew for saving Earth for the nth time was not too good an idea. The Enterprise had to limp back to space dock and would stay there for several additional weeks to help fix the issues. Half the doors on the ship malfunctioning, control interfaces not working, transporter not functional, and the last time the Enterprise was on a shakedown cruise and its transporters had issues, this happened.
Malfunction. More signal.
They're losing their pattern.
Oh no, they're forming.
So then we skip to 2287, where the Enterprise was called into duty despite still needing repairs, in order to intervene in a kidnapping situation on Nimbus 3. Nimbus 3 was the so-called planet of galactic peace, set in between the borders of the Klingon, Romulan Star, and Federation empires. However, this planet had quickly devolved into lawlessness, and was generally where diplomats who had really passed their prime were sent to die. Overseas, like St. John Talbot, a disillusioned Federation representative. But you also had Klingon General Cord, who was disgraced, and these representatives were seemingly kidnapped by the Galactic Army of Light, commanded by a rogue Vulcan. However, they were actually under the mental manipulation of this Vulcan and willingly joined his galactic army to create this fake kidnapping trap for the Federation flagship. It's all a bit weird. The Enterprise was subsequently commandeered by the Galactic Army of Light, and its leader revealed himself as the rogue Vulcan Sybok, Spock's half-brother. Sybok had previously been interred at Ankeshtan Katil, Vulcan Criminal Rehabilitation Center, where many Vitosh Katur, or Vulcans without logic, were rehabilitated by the Vulcan government. However, at Ankeshtan Katil, he was under the alias of Zavarius, presumably to protect his father's reputation as Federation ambassador, because wouldn't that be embarrassing? Sybok had previously tried to escape confinement in 2259 with the help of a band of pirates, but this plan failed to work, probably because they took a trip on the wrong rocket ship. Though it seems that somehow he was able to escape from the rehabilitation center anyway between 2259 and 2287. Sybok would order the Enterprise to the mythical planet of Shakari, which was located at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. There they meet an entity who seemingly is God, but upon finding out that he needed a starship to escape this planetoid and not knowing who Kirk is, well, it's pretty clear that this entity is not God, but some being that is trapped at the center of the galaxy and clearly just looking for a ride. The Enterprise-A, along with the Klingon bird of prey, managed to defeat the entity and return from Shakari. In 2293, the Enterprise-A was set for retirement, but sent on one final mission of peace with the Klingon Empire. The Klingons had recently suffered from the destruction of their moon of Praxis, and this forced the Klingon Chancellor at the time, a secret John Talbot having taken plastic surgery and assumed the name of Gorkon, to seek peace with one of the Empire's strongest enemies. The Federation, that is. Not his plastic surgeon, although that would have been hilarious. The Enterprise-A was set to rendezvous with Chancellor Gorkon's ship Kronos 1 and escorted to the planet of Khitomer, where it would sign the Khitomer Accords, which ensured peace between the Klingon Empire and the Federation. However, while en route to Earth, Kronos 1 was seemingly fired upon by the Enterprise-A, and two armed assailants beamed aboard the Klingon ship, stabbed a bunch of Klingons in their path, and assassinated the Klingon Chancellor, getting Pepto-Bismol all over the place. However, this was a ploy by some high-ranking officers in both the Empire and the Federation who did not want peace, and would frame Captain Kirk and Dr. McCoy for the assassination of Gorkon. Interestingly enough, the Klingon lawyer that defends Kirk is Colonel Worf, and though it's not stated on screen, it is said that this man is both the namesake and grandfather of our favorite Klingon,
How could these men be walking?
Worf. I mean, who else would it be? Luckily, the Enterprise-A manages to slip past Klingon security and rescue Kirk and McCoy from the Klingon prison planet of Rurapenthe. Alongside the U.S.S Excelsior, the Enterprise-A manages to defeat a bird of prey carrying General Chang, who did not want peace between the Klingon Empire and the Federation, and used his advanced new cloaking device, which allowed the user to fire while still under cloak to frame the Enterprise-A for firing on Kronos 1. This cloak was not perfect, however, and combining a photon torpedo with some nebula gas scanning equipment managed to make some homing torpedoes which could destroy the cloaked ship. After this incident, the Enterprise-A was set to be decommissioned, and it was the last time we saw this legendary ship, until fairly recently. After decommissioning, the Enterprise-A was repaired and placed on proud display at the Fleet Museum at Anthem Prime. Athen Prime? Athen Prime. Athens Prime, right in the middle of the Olympics. That's enough of that.
Oh, wow. But this one is my personal favorite. Kirk's Enterprise. All those perfectly clean retro lines. Yep, I'm definitely a Constitution class man.
Its berth was quite fittingly located between the USS Excelsior and the USS Voyager in 2401. Seemingly, only the USS Enterprise-A, D, and NX-01 were stationed at the Fleet Museum, with the other vessels named Enterprise having been either destroyed or lost, such as the Enterprise-C, the original Enterprise, and apparently the Enterprise-E. The E may have been stationed at the Fleet Museum, but under the captaincy of Captain Worf, the vessel would remain in a bad state up to 2401.
And obviously, we can't use the Enterprise-E.
That was not my fault.
While we're here, for completionist's sake, we should also mention that there is another USS Enterprise-A, and it is canon, and that is the Kelvin timeline U.S.S Enterprise-A. After the NCC 1701 was destroyed over the planet of Altamid by disillusioned ex-Mako officer Balthasar Edison, and after Kirk and crew had managed to put a stop to Edison's plans of destroying Starbase Yorktown in order to bring the galaxy back to the era of struggle and war he had grown up with during the Romulan and Xindi Wars in the 2150s, Kirk had refused a promotion to Vice Admiral.
Vice Admirals don't fly, do they?
No, they don't.
Where's the fun in that?
I tend to agree. Starfleet, for their efforts of saving Yorktown and the numerous inhabitants from a biological weapon called the Abranath, and solving a mystery that goes all the way back to the Enterprise era of the disappearance of Edison, his crew, and the USS Franklin NX-326, would sign off on the construction of the USS Enterprise NCC 1701A. Though this is a video on the fate of the Enterprise-A, we don't know what happens next. We'll seemingly have to keep waiting until Star Trek IV comes out, if it ever does. However, that was the legacy and fate of the USS Enterprise-A's as we know them. But what do you think of this ship and its legacy? Would you have liked to see the A get one last hurrah like the Enterprise-D, and have helped face down the Borg threat in Picard Season 3, as ludicrously outclassed as it may or may not have been? Or would a century-old ship taking on a mega Borg cube be just a little bit too much? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore, and more, then you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central, follow us on social media, or join our community Discord server. And don't forget to check out our Twitch channel too. For now, I've been Lieutenant Commander Adam. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Live long and prosper, my friends.